So you all can talk from back there, is that your plan?
Wherever you want me to. I don't.
Wherever you can, we're sitting here, where we can hear you back there. Wherever
You're
comfortable.
welcome. To come up here, I don't care. I. Be able to share my screen to the host to the table.
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
I'm Jennifer, by the way. Jennifer, I'm Chris Kelly.
Hi, Chris. It's nice to meet you. And you are with? I'm with the Colorado Department of Public Health. And so. And that's changed. Because I would have been like with the paper. See, yeah. Fine.
And this is the whole thing right there. That's the message that I want everybody to see. If they can't see anything else out of this presentation, that's the second reading.
You know what? I've known about radon for 15 years. Yes, we, you know, in real estate, now granted, Oklahoma doesn't have a pockets of radon like here. But in Oklahoma, there's a lot more air conditioning.
But you're doing this fine.
Yes. So that can also send it. Yep. I'm like, we're on very much. Everything's very long. Oh, I know. My husband is a home inspector and he's doing the because he's done right on everything in Oklahoma. Oh, is he trying to get licensed? Oh, cool. But you have to be licensed. You don't have to be licensed. Yeah, I mean, that locks that. You guys put down here? Oh, he's gonna have a phone, it's just. But he gets to us. Yeah. So, well, there are a couple of other home inspectors who are doing that, so. Since he gets us. Yeah, if they're not licensed, they're gonna get shut down by doors. If he doesn't know. Yeah, well, and he's about halfway through the course and. It's finished. I mean, he had done all this research long before we ever moved here because he did it before and wanted to have some sort of knowledge base. This is in the right state to do it. So that's awesome. And then I can tell you when to move slides.
You don't want to sit there?
No, I'll stand. I have to tell Margaret when she moves slides and stuff.
Oh.
So I want to be able to. I don't know. We'll make it work.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. He knows how to work this.
Drilling holes in the floor so we don't have them wired.
Yeah.
You guys, meetings on, everything's good to go.
So ready?
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, partner. Thank you.
Good job. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bill Ken, Chairman of the Board of Health, Custer County Board of Health. It is Tuesday, August the 1st, 2023, and it is actually, what time we have actually? It's 2013. Little startup problem getting started here. And if you would silence your phones, please, that would be a good thing to do first of all. And I'll call this meeting to order and let's stand for the pledge. Dorothy, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Dorothy. Okay, we've moved, just so you know, set the stage here. We moved to this room. Sorry for the hassle getting it set up. We also are in between people and organizations, and thank you, Jennifer, for volunteering again to help be the board secretary here for Dr. Brown, who is actually the board secretary.
Well, that's happy. Thanks for asking.
Oh, no.
So let's go through a roll call and
Okay. Bill Canda,
here.
Kevin Day,
Here,
Tom Flower,
present.
Dr. Brown,
Here.
and Dorothy Karsten. Here. And Jennifer, secretary to the Board of Health.
Okay, thank you. An audience introduction, so we'll just have you speak loudly and tell us who you are and where you're from.
My name is Christine Kelly. I work for the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, and we're based in Denver.
Good morning, my name is Margaret Horton. I also work for the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, also based in Denver.
Good morning, I'm Sarah Bertelson. I'm the new full-time nurse over at Public Health here in Custer County.
Great, and we've got Dorothy.
You
already did. I had a quick question. It's Board of Public Health and Environment's a big organization. What division, what specific office are you?
We're actually on the health department for the state of Colorado is split into health and environment, and we are located on the environmental side of the department in the hazardous materials and waste management.
Good. That helps set the stage.
That-
Thanks a bunch. Okay, any amendments from the Board of Health point of view? I have none. Okay, thank you to the agenda. And we don't have any minutes yet, but we do have some outstanding yet. Dr. Brown from last meeting, I don't think we've seen them yet. So,
Done for me, that's for sure.
that's the problem.
I think I kept those,
You kept-
but I don't
Did you
know.
get the last one?
Yes,
Okay.
but we'll talk about it later.
That's another issue with moving offices and people. Thank you. Okay, so from a report point of view, we'll let's wait, Cliff, on your stuff, and we'll do the presentation by Christine first.
Yes, sir.
So is that okay?
That's on my agenda.
All right, you're up.
So Dr. Brown asked me to come speak to you all about radon, which is a huge issue in Colorado. So I happily did that, and Margaret came along with me. I've run the radon program at the state health department for over 20 years, and I'm getting ready to retire soon. So Margaret will be sliding into my position. So we're working together to get the program transitioned smoothly. And so I'm just here to talk to you about radon. It's the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. And we'll just go to the next slide and I'll tell you a little bit about radon. So radon is a gas. It's naturally occurring. Can't see it or smell it. It comes from the underlying geology in Colorado. We have a lot of uranium in our soils because we're in the Rocky Mountains, and radon, as you can see in this picture, is a breakdown product of uranium. It's the second leading cause of lung cancer after smoking, but it's the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. And it's estimated to cause about 500 deaths annually in Colorado, so it's a serious public health issue. And I don't believe I put this in the presentation, but it's actually the leading environmental cause of cancer in the state of Colorado. Yeah, this is so we have a little video that I have on my signature block that kind of explains to the public in 30 seconds about radon. It's a quick video. I just like to show it to folks, kind of give them an idea where we're going. Just bear with us, we kind of switch things up on the fly here a little bit, so we'll get it going.
I think we all have.
Okay.
You can't, you could open the video by itself if you wanted. Yes, I'm not sure what it's doing.
By the right window, yeah.
There you go. It's working there.
Yeah, it's just trying to remember. We're not seeing it really.
I think the project.
It is everywhere but through the. Right.
Okay, well, we could skip it. That's, I mean, it's a great little video we've got that explains about radon. You guys are seeing it, but we're not here in the room. Not sure how to get around that.
Your screen.
Don't know, actually it is. We can skip it. I'll cover most of the information in the presentation. It's just kind of a good visual aid to explain to people about radon. What do you think you can get?
I think so.
Yeah, it may be a limitation with the projection setup. We'll just skip it. I'll cover everything. Don't worry, you're not gonna miss anything. And we're not gonna be able to see the video either about one of our radon-induced lung cancer survivors, but it's really a heart-wrenching video that makes you see how impactful radon can be to families in Colorado. So unfortunately, we'll have to skip that video also, but we'll get back to some basic radon facts. Radon is known to cause about 21,000 lung cancer deaths annually in the United States. And as I said, in Colorado, about 500. Leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. And what a lot of folks don't realize, it actually is a group A carcinogen, which means it's in the same carcinogenic category as tobacco. So if folks are concerned about tobacco, you should be concerned about radon too. And again, it's the leading environmental health risk in Colorado. And in the nation, Colorado actually ranks 7th for radon risk. It's a huge risk in our state. And we call the action level, we want folks to take action on their homes as if their house is tested about 4 picocuries per liter. And that's an EPA action level.
So what is that actually?
It's the concentration of radon gas that's in your home.
Can you relate that to the volume somehow? Parts per million, something like that.
It's not really transferable because it's a radioactive particle.
Was that right?
Yeah, it's a radioactive particle, so we measure it in picocuries per liter or becquerels, which is, we don't really use in the United States, so I don't think I can really project that. So in Colorado, there's a national EPA map some folks might see online, that shows all of the states in the United States and how they are ranked. And they're usually ranked in 3 zones. Zone 1 is high risk, zone 2 is medium risk, and zone 3 is low risk. In Colorado, our entire state is high risk for radon. Literally 50%, we've got almost over 500,000 data points in Colorado since 2005. And half the homes in Colorado test above that EPA action level of 4. So we recommend everybody test their houses, and if it's above 4, they should mitigate.
Where do you test? Upstairs, downstairs, in the basement?
I'm gonna cover that for you in
I
a little bit.
know the answer, but it varies.
Yeah, you always test in the lowest livable area of your house. Because that's the radon's coming from the soil under the house. So we want you to test in that lowest livable area. We do have somewhat of a higher frequency in the mountains and the foothills, just because we have more uranium in the soils there. And you can get significant variation. I've seen somebody test their house and it might be 14 picocuries per liter, and the neighbor's house might be at 2. It has a lot to do with the foundation that the house is built on, what's used as backfill material. So everybody should test their house regardless of what your neighbor's house tests at. And the only way, because it's invisible, colorless, can't smell it, it's the only way to know is to test your home.
Does it change with time?
It does not, the uranium's been in our soil for millions of
In
years.
your house, once you got it tested, are you safe forever? You're not, are you? Meaning,
You mean once you
once you
mitigate?
tested it the first time. And it's at X level.
No, you should always retest every few years just to be sure the radon levels are the same. Things like, if you have things fixed in your home, like new windows, things like that, or if you have structural changes, if your house shifts because of shifting soils we have in Colorado, it could change your radon levels. So If you test once and it's below 4, you should definitely recheck every few years to make sure it's still safe. So again, maybe we didn't know as the test. So this is how radon gets drawn into a building. A lot of people are like, well, if it's in the dirt, how does it get into my house? Well, I like to jokingly say all houses suck, which is true. All of our houses are under negative thermostatic or thermal effect, stack effect, just like smoke naturally goes up the chimney. Our houses are always pulling air from the bottom to the top. And when it pulls that air from the bottom to the top, it's pulling radon gas into your home also. Okay. So radon can be elevated in new homes, old homes, leaky homes, homes without basements, apartment buildings, schools, offices. The only 2 kinds of buildings you're not going to see radon in. Next slide, please. Are tree houses or boat houses. If you have a house in Colorado, you could have elevated levels of radon unless it's a tree house. A lot of folks think that, you know, newer houses are not as big of a risk or older houses are less of a risk. It's not true. We see elevated levels in every type of home, no matter how old it is. So the best way to test your home, and we brought some coupons for you guys with free radon test kits. The public can also get 1 free test kit per household on the state health department's radon website. But you've got to test your house, and we recommend initial testing to be a short-term test. It's a charcoal device that typically runs 3 to 5 days. When you're done running it, you put it in the envelope or whatever it came in. These are 4 different devices you're looking at on the screen. The one on the left under the word short-term kits is the one you'll receive from CDPHE if you order our free kit. And that includes postage analysis and everything. So it's free from start to finish. You just have to do the work. But basically they're usually pretty inexpensive. You can get short-term radon test kits for anywhere from $15 to $30. And it's an initial screening just to see if your house even has an issue. If the results come back at above 8 on a short-term test, we recommend you mitigate immediately because that's a pretty high lung cancer risk and that's double the action. If the results come back between 4 and 8, we usually recommend you do a longer-term test. And a long-term test you can run for 90 days up to a full year. And well, let me back up a second. When you do the short-term test, you want to keep all your windows closed. It's kind of like you're trying to mimic what your house is when it's closed up tight in the wintertime. It's kind of a worst-case scenario test, and that's why it's an initial screening test. But when you do the long-term test, you live like you normally live in your house. So if you run a test for a full year and if it's a beautiful day and you open your windows, you go ahead and do that. You just live like you normally live. So it really is a more accurate annual representation of what you're being exposed to, how you live in your home when you do the long-term test.
So when you go shopping for one other than the CDPHE, where would you buy it?
You can get them at most home improvement stores, Lowe's, Home Depot. I saw you guys have a UJ's Hardware here. I guarantee you they've got them on the shelf there too.
Or they can get,
And you can also order them online. You can order them on Amazon. We recommend folks only use certified devices, and that's diverse devices that are certified by the National Radon Proficiency Program or the National Radon Safety Board. But all these devices you see on the screen are approved certified devices. Also, when we talk about lung cancer risk, I'm not getting into too much of the science for you today because it was a short presentation, but your actual lung cancer risk is based on your average annual exposure. So that long-term test, if you have borderline levels, is a good way to see if you should really mitigate, even if your levels are around 4. Thank you. So this is how we fix houses. It's called radon mitigation. You can have a house over a crawl space. You can have a house on a concrete slab. With the crawl space, you basically go in and if it's a combination, you just do a combination of these things to fix the house. But basically all you're doing is trying to get the radon out of the soil from under the house before it gets pulled up into the house. So for a crawl space, you put down a heavy duty plastic liner. Has to be a 6 mil or 3 mil poly or 3 mil cross poly, my apologies. And most of your moisture barriers that are typically put in crawl spaces do not qualify as a radon barrier. They're not heavy enough gauge. But there are radon mitigation standards that tell you how these things should be installed, and a good certified contractor will know the requirements. But basically you go into the crawl space, you put a heavy duty liner in the crawl space. You put a perforated pipe under, or a pipe with holes under that liner. And then you run the pipe up the side, you run the pipe out of the side of the house, mount a fan outside. And then run the pipe to above the roof. And then when you kick the fan on, it runs 24/7 and it just continually pulls the radon gas out of the dirt under the liner. Similarly, the concrete slab, we just cut a hole through the concrete slab, dig out a couple of buckets of soil. So you got a nice air pocket there. Put a pipe in the air pocket, elbow that pipe out of the house to the radon fan, and then pipe it up above the roof, and it sucks the radon out of the dirt, just like it does underneath the liner in the crawl space. Sometimes you can also use, some of you might be familiar with a term called a perimeter drain on a house. It's a perforated pipe drain that goes all the way around the house into a sump. You can put radon suction points in sump pits because it's pulling air all the way out from around the foundation of the house. They do get your radon levels very low. We don't actually recommend the public do that unless it's absolutely necessary because it causes problems with long-term maintenance of your sump. You need to replace your sump pump. If your sump gets full or clogged, you need to actually remove the radon system to get into the sump. So I'm not a big fan of it, but it can be used and it does work great for mitigation. I mainly recommend it for people who maybe have never seen water in their sump for 10, 15, 20 years. Then you could probably go ahead and go with it, but I'd recommend the concrete slab penetration rather than a sump system.
Christine, how long does it take? If you put in some kind of a circulation system like this, how long does it take to drop the levels?
Hours, actually, that's a great question because you guys are all gonna see these slides. But it happens almost instantaneously. It's amazing how quickly it works. Yeah, next slide. And you guys can interrupt me anytime. I do very informal presentations, so these are what good mitigation systems should look like. Last year, Colorado passed a law that now radon measurement and mitigation contractors all have to be licensed by the Colorado Department of Regulatory Agencies. Because we were seeing huge issues with bad contractors installing bad systems and giving homeowners false senses of security, and the systems weren't installed properly. But this is what a good mitigation system should look like. On the left, you can see a suction point through a basement slab that's going out of the house. You should have things like a label that tells you who installed it, so you can call them. There should be a manometer, which is a gauge that shows you the fan is running. And then the fan should be mounted outside of the house and then go up above the house, and it has to terminate above the eave of the roof because that gas coming out of that pipe is highly concentrated. So we don't want it re-entraining into windows or things. There are requirements for distance above windows and from windows. And from windows. So you really want to make sure it's properly installed by a licensed contractor. And even in the crawl space, you can see the nice clean barrier. It's well sealed to the walls. That's what a good radon mitigation system should look like at first glance.
Pipe size matter.
I'm sorry.
That's looks like a 3-inch pipe. Is it bigger or smaller?
We usually recommend 4-inch PVC.
4-inch.
Yeah. Builders, I'll start talking to you about doing this during new home construction. And we do allow for 3-inch in those systems, but a home that's already constructed that you're mitigating post-construction, you want a 4-inch pipe. You have a question?
Density of the gas compared to air.
I'm sorry.
Density of the gas compared to air.
Radon is actually heavier than air. But because our houses are under that stack effect, it gets pulled up into the home anyways.
Okay, so you don't want to have your vent run there, say, right by an attic vent where it might actually suck back into the attic vent.
No, the radon mitigation standards, I mean, like, you don't want it terminating anywhere near like a swamp cooler where you've got an air intake, or attic vents aren't as much of a concern because the attic is under that same kind of positive and then negative pressure as the house is. So the radon gas isn't likely to go in an attic vent, but we do avoid things like entrances to swamp coolers, windows, things where it can blow in or get sucked into the house.
And we get temperature inversions around here too, quite a bit, where that would actually make it drawn in.
Yeah,
Okay.
So if it comes off that stack, it just tumbles down the side of the wall. Or blows
I'm
away.
sorry?
That gas is heavier, so it's gonna settle
Yeah, we've actually,
away from the house.
yeah, we've actually done some experiments, not myself, but Kansas State University, where they actually use smoke through these radon systems. To mimic kind of radon gas, and it naturally kind of dissipates in the atmosphere, but the heavier the concentration, the more it comes down. So we know that, I mean, the concentration coming out of those radon pipes, if your house tests at 10, the concentration coming out of that pipe could be 100 picocuries. So like, that's why there's radon standards that require distance from windows and above windows and away from air intakes to the home, those sorts of things. Next slide. So this was Dr. Brown's question. How quick does it work? It works. This is an hourly readout of a rate with the radon system off and the radon system being turned on. You can see the home probably averaged about 7 or 8 picocuries per liter before mitigation. Turn that fan on, it drops, averages probably around 2 picocuries per liter when the system's running. So the system runs 24/7. Very low cost. It's kind of like the cost of running a light bulb. And then we recommend folks, just like if you haven't mitigated, retest your house every 2 years just to make sure the radon levels are still safe and nothing has changed in your home. So we want to talk to you a little bit about Custer County and our test kits. We've been collecting test kits test results from do-it-yourself radon test kits like the ones I showed you earlier since 2005. So we've got data up to 2022. We collect it every year. And it's all basically test kits from do-it-yourself test kits that homeowners do. The test kit companies that sell test kits don't always ask the homeowners the same questions on the forms. A large portion of them ask the homeowner, is the house mitigated or not? Some test kit companies don't. So we don't really know, out of all the test results, we don't know what's pre-mitigation and what's post-mitigation. But we do actually Margaret does some fancy data stuff where she can pull out the ones we know were pre or post mitigation and then look at actual averages and results. So that makes the data a little more strengthy. And then obviously pre-mitigation results are significantly higher than house that's already been fixed. So it does make a difference in the overall data analysis. In Colorado, since we just started requiring radon measurement contractors to be licensed last year, we don't have data from contractors who actually physically go out and do radon measurements with their own private equipment. Some states do require that data be submitted to the state health department. We don't have that luxury in Colorado, so the only data we have is the data from the homeowner test kits directly from the laboratories. So a quick, easy way for us to break it out when I do presentations like this is to look at zip codes, because we want to talk about your area, your county, areas that might be concerned to you. Zip codes aren't the best thing. Sometimes they change over the years. Sometimes they cross county lines, but we can get a pretty good close estimate. We can break it down to a better degree with much more work where Margaret looks at census blocks and things like that. So it's more focused on just your neighborhoods, but zip code's a pretty good thumbs view of what's going on in your county. So Custer County, you don't have a lot of zip codes, but you got a few. That 81069 crosses into Pueblo and Huerfano counties, so we would have to break that out to census block level to get those counties out of that zip code. But we looked at these 3 zip codes for your county, and hopefully you guys recognize these zip codes and don't know another one that we don't know of. So we broke it out by zip code for you. This is all your county data, just all 3 zip codes together. We've got about 963 test results for your county. And Margaret was able to look at the US Census Bureau data, and there's about 4,500 housing units in Custer County. So we really have a very small portion of tests for your county. And that 963, it may be this, the same house that somebody tested twice or 3 times. So that could actually be even more significantly low. But when we look at the min and max, we have test results that are non-detect all the way up to 873 picocuries per liter in Custer County. I mean, that's huge. Usually when I see that in my years of experience, it's either a house that was built over old mine tailings material as backfill or over an old mine. Or sometimes we do just have hot pockets of uranium around the state. But that just shows you how important it is that your residents test for radon, because they could be sitting, I mean.
We got quite a few houses sitting on top of the table.
Yeah, I mean, that's over 200 times the action. I mean, that is huge lung cancer is. And then when we look at all the test results for the county, 44% of your tests are coming back above 4 of those 963. Yeah,
This may be a silly question, but how do you know that radon is the cause for cancer and for non-smokers?
it's a great
I'm just
question.
curious how do you know that?
It's a great question. It's all based on epidemiology. There's no way they can tell medically what caused your lung cancer. But through epidemiology, they can say, okay, if they weren't a smoker, they weren't exposed to asbestos, they didn't work in a chemical plant. So, and there, I mean, there's different types of lung cancer, but smoking and radon fall into the same category.
It's essentially process of elimination.
Exactly, it's
Well,
epidemiology.
If it is process of elimination, when people get lung cancer that don't fit into any of the regular criteria, do they go out and do testing on their homes to find out if it was radon?
Hopefully, I mean, that's the plan is, I mean, we also hope that doctors, lung cancer doctors talk to their patients about testing their homes for radon. We do a lot of outreach to physicians and try to get them to get the word out. Local health departments like, Dr. Brown's organization, do a lot of local community outreach and education. So yeah, I mean, we target that group of people, and one of the videos I had for you was actually a radon-induced lung cancer survivor. I mean, the woman's story is amazing. Unfortunately, she passed away in her early 40s, had 4 kids, lived a totally healthy lifestyle, climbed 14ers, never smoked, never was exposed to asbestos. And she came down with radon-induced lung cancer. It's a really scary, hard story to share. And lung cancer has such a stigma because everybody always thinks you get it because you smoked. Well, that's not the case. There's a lot of people, the amount of smokers in Colorado has been going down rapidly over the last 20 years, but our lung cancer cases aren't going down much comparably. So we're pretty sure the criminal here is right.
Which is why Christine is here. You guys, so if you have questions posed to you, you can answer.
So, yeah, I mean, it is epidemiology, though. It's a process of elimination for that specific type of lung cancer that person with.
And by the way, we can interrupt you, Christine,
That's
but for pregnant mothers, this is not a real danger for the fetus. This is a danger for the mom because she's breathing it into her lungs, but it does not pass into that fetus. It doesn't pass the placenta barrier. They're just.
That's good to know.
Yeah, if we get into the science of it, the problem with radon is when you breathe it in, it shoots off these radioactive things called alpha particles. And if the alpha particle happens to hit the right chromosome and the right DNA in your lung, it can cause that it can cause that cell to either become cancerous, it can die, or it can repair itself. So the problem is those alpha particles, when you breathe them in, bouncing around your lung tissue, that can cause the cells to become cancerous.
So how long is that?
Do you know there is a slightly elevated risk for children, because children, especially little ones, are closer to the ground, so they might be getting higher radon levels than somebody walking around the house. Plus, children breathe more rapidly than adults, so children are at more risk for radon exposure. But not Dr. Brown is totally right. It doesn't impact fetuses at all.
What about, are you seeing an increase of asthma in kids in this area because of radon?
I don't have any data on asthma.
I was just thinking that if they're,
We have so many other causes. It is really hard
oh,
with all of the wind and the dust and all of the vegetation around here. We have so many other causes. It's really hard to kind of narrow it down and say, okay, this is the cause or a high contributing factor.
Yeah, and asthma is usually caused by pollutants, like Dr. Brown said, like, either contaminants in your environment or dust, those kinds of things. Where radon is actually a radioactive impact on cell. So they're kind of two different.
I got two quick questions.
Sure.
What's the half-life in your lungs? Or how, it's not like arsenic where it just accumulates and gets worse and worse and worse.
If I didn't know you guys are so interested in the science, I put a bunch of
No,
science
just
slides in
a
there.
curiosity.
But right
The reason I'm asking is,
It's a very short half-life. I think it's 2.8 days.
okay,
It's less than 3 days.
that's what I was gonna ask, because if you go and breathe it here and then you go in that guy's next door and it's accumulative, and it doesn't sound like it.
No, it's not. It has a very, radon has a very short half-life, and you don't have to worry about it. Like, sometimes people call me and they think that like everything in their basement's contaminated, they gotta get rid of it.
Right.
That's not the way radon works.
Right.
It has a very short half-life and it breaks down very quickly.
And the other question is, on that map, can you map where the high concentrated areas are, or do they vary? Does it change? Like if you plotted the
We
levels
could
at
plot
eight
individual,
seventy-three,
yeah.
could you see 873 levels somewhere and then?
We can, we gotta be careful because the data is protected under the Privacy Act. So we can't show you specifically what somebody's house. is
No, but you
at.
could show general areas. I
We
think,
can.
where it's
And that's
significant.
what I was talking about, breaking it down to census block level.
And the reason for that would be, I would be interested if I was building a house somewhere, I would want to know whether I've got to put in a big system or not to start with, or not.
Well, and
or
I'm gonna
even
talk
buy it.
about new construction because that's.
Well, no, I'm just looking at it from a map point of view.
Yeah, that's a great point, but the point is that everywhere in Colorado has the potential for high radon. So if it was up to us, every house in Colorado would vote for a radon system.
No, I'm good with that. I'm just wondering. I like the fact that 43% are lower than, I'd like to live in that area. Where are the 43%?
But it's not predictable because, as I said,
Your data doesn't-
neighbor could test at 20 and your house could be at 2. You don't know unless you test.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's why we don't let, like, sometimes builders will want to like test the soil. That's not predictive at all of what the
Right, I get it.
radon levels in the house. And we just don't know because it's so variable. I mean, literally, you could see a house that's 100 and a house in the same census block might be 2. So I'm not comfortable letting builders look at maps and go, oh, I don't need to test there, or I don't need to mitigate there. Because bottom line is statewide, half the homes have radon issues. So you got a 50, 1 out of 2 risk, why wouldn't you just fix the house? See, you're getting me to my radon resistant new construction presentation. Okay, so then we broke it down by zip code for you. For Margaret's did. I gotta give her kudos for doing all the data stuff for me. So in 81252, how many of you live in that zip code, just out of curiosity?
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
Some people live in the kingdom.
Oh, yes. Okay, but most of you here live in that zip code. So out of 764 tests, so 80% of all the Custer County tests are in your area, which is awesome for your zip code, your people or your folks are aware, or some of them are. But we've got, again, minimum of non-detect, and we've got some homes in your zip code that are over 200. I mean, that's a huge lung cancer. And it's a problem that's easily solved with a mitigation system that's not really that expensive, and we also have a way to pay for it for people who qualify, which I'll talk about in a minute. But in your zip code specifically, you can believe it, 40% of the radon tests of those 764 came back above 4. So they should have action on those 40%. Okay. So in 81253, is that where you live, sir?
Yep.
It's the kingdom. Okay, in the kingdom, there's only been 8 tests conducted. I don't know how many people live there. That's not many tests. That's.
And that's kind of.
It's the family kingdom. right?
Yeah, they're all related.
Come on, sis, we're going home now.
But yeah, I mean, out of those 8, same thing, of those 8, they ranged from 1.7, so none of them were non-detect, up to 174 people carried. That's
So-
huge.
I did a test, I don't remember how many years ago, so it may have been before your data point that you were showing. But I messed up because I put it down in I have a 5-foot tall basement under one part of my house. With a hot water heater and things like that in it. Not the living area of the house.
Yeah, you should always put it in the lowest livable area of the house.
So, and I do remember it tested high, but I don't remember how high. And I didn't go any farther at that time with it, so I would be interested in doing a test in my actual livable area.
Yeah, and the lowest livable area is the most important place to do it. Well, I mean, we do see some crazy tests, I mean, in the hundreds of thousands of picocuries per liter. And if somebody like decided to put it in a mine shaft just to see what it would come back at, you know, people like to experiment. They put it in the pipe that's coming out of their roof with the radon gas, you know. So I mean, the ones that are real outliers, I try to follow up on and call the homeowner and say, hey, did you really do this right? Or was this an experiment kind of thing? So we can pull out those ones that aren't really true, but a significant amount, I call people and they're like, yeah, I did it in my family room downstairs. And it's amazing that they're living in those kinds of levels. So in the Great Kingdom, 75% of the homes tested above 4. That's 3/4 of the population in that zip code that had homes tested above 4. That's huge risk. And then last but not least, is this the one that crosses the county border? So this is the one that crosses into Pueblo and Huerfano, but 81069, 191 tests in that zip code, non-detect, up to 873. And that was a verified test. And it doesn't really surprise me because we've got a lot of uranium in the soils on that side of the county and in the Pueblo and Huerfano. But again, in that zip code, 60% of the homes tested above 4. That's a huge sample. You know, that means more than half the population is exposed to levels that EPA recommends doing something. Okay, next. So this is, I was going to get to it, but you beat me to it. So this is something we do recommend counties consider doing. And this is really more of a thing for me to talk to your code officials about, or your city council or county commissioners, but the best way to protect the public is to require radon resistant new construction. This is the radon system is a passive radon system. It's put in the home while it's built. It works better. You can't see it because it goes out through the roof with all the other pipes. The fan is hidden in the attic. And we typically see, you know, if a home tests, if a home, completely constructed home is tested, and we put a cap on the passive pipe, we see about a 50% reduction. So if we test the home with a cap on, say it tests at 10 picocuries per liter, with just the passive system alone, it brings it down to about 5 picocuries per liter when we take that cap off. So it may not be enough to get the house down below 4, but if it's kind of a borderline house, it's, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, it'll get it down to a safe level just with passive. But the important thing is it's put in during construction. Like I said, it goes through the interior of the building, so it looks better on the outside, the system on the outside of the house. And if the passive system doesn't get it down below 4 after it's occupied, all you gotta do is hook a fan up in the attic and you're good to go. And it drops it down to where it should be. So, next slide. We've got a lot of cities and counties in the last 10 years that have decided to do this. This is called Appendix F, and it's the International Residential Code. It's the building code for new home construction, if you're not real familiar with new home construction. But there's an appendix on the IRC called Appendix F that is all about requiring radon systems in all new homes. And we've got 60 cities and counties to date that have required that in all new homes constructed in their cities or counties. Most of them look at it just like I've been telling you about your data, that 50% of the homes in their county are likely to be above 4. They're like, why don't we just do this while we're building the houses? It doesn't cost that much. And we're, you know, helping protect our residents in our cities and counties. And as I know you guys are probably more than well aware of, we don't have a statewide building code in Colorado, so this can only be done at the adoption at the local level. Because every city and county in Colorado has its own version of the building code. And then recently, a couple of years ago, Fort Collins actually started requiring it in all new multifamily buildings like apartments and things. So this has happened in the last 10 years. We had 0 and now we're up to 60. And I always, whenever I talk to a city or county, I always can really encourage the county commissioners or city councils to considering adopting this as part of their local building code. So that's something your county may want to consider in the future, but it's really, it's a good thing to do. It's the right thing to do, but that's not for you to decide. Next slide. So a little bit about our radon program. I'm glad I can say R finally, because I ran it myself for 20 years. So now I've got Margaret, which is amazing. But basically our program functions in the health department under a state indoor radon grant with the EPA that funds our program. And then we were fortunate enough about 5 years ago to get something called the Low Income Radon Mitigation Assistance Program from our state legislature. This is huge in Colorado. It's huge in the nation. It's really the only state in the nation that has a program like this. But basically, we were getting a lot of people to test their homes and then calling and saying, well, my house is a 40 and I can't afford a mitigation system. What do I do now? And we had to say, sorry, can't help you. So fortunately, the legislature and the health department saw the importance of this and they pushed for it. And we got this great program that people can apply for. And we actually have our contractors fix your house and we pay for it. It's an amazing program. So the main things the program does, the radon program does, is we do a lot of radon outreach and education. We provide radon outreach and education grants to local health departments. Obviously we run that, I call it LORMA, so I don't have to say it so much, low income radon mitigation systems. We have the LORMA program. We have a program where we train teachers on how to teach their students about radiation, radioactivity, and radon. Teachers love it. We got like these cool little kits they can take into the classroom for hands-on experiments with the kids. We've been doing that even before my time for like 30 years in the state. We do a radon poster and video contest every year for poster contest for middle school kids, a video contest for high school kids. That's always one of the funnest parts of my job. We do the radon testing, data collection analysis, like I told you about, that's where we get our data from. And we have an environmental public health tracking program that Margaret used to work for that did that with my radon data, but we got her. So I'm gonna find somebody else now. I don't know. We're fortunate to get her. Right, yeah. Margaret for the last few years is doing all our data analysis for the radon program. A large portion of my job, unfortunately, is mediating consumer complaints between contractors and homeowners. And then we also have a radon hotline, an 800 number. Folks can call for more information or get directly to one of us.
So I'm assuming you have quite a few calls as far as complaints from consumers dealing with the contractors.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons that law finally passed in Colorado last year that requires radon contractors to be licensed in Colorado. Is we actually had over 150 logged complaints with shoddy radon mitigation system installations. And I guess you could consider it like any good home repair, no matter what it is. You either get a good contractor or you get a bad one. And unless there's regulatory oversight that require those contractors in whatever field it is, follow certain standards and have a code of ethics and things like that, the shoddy contractor things are going to continue to happen. So fortunately, the Colorado Department of Regulatory Agencies saw the need. They went through a sunset review process on all our radon complaints. Said, yeah, we need to protect the public from this because it's a health issue too. And people were getting systems installed improperly and then assuming they were living in a safe environment and their homes were still in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and they didn't know any difference. So, yeah, that was a huge accomplishment for the state of Colorado. There's 10 other states in the nation that regulate radon contractors, and Colorado just recently became part of that party. So, okay, that's slide. So one of the things that you guys might want to consider in Custer County or Cliff might want to consider is we just sent out our announcement last week for our state indoor radon grants. These are the grants we provide to local health departments, other public health entities, public health nurses. We work with hospitals, universities. Anybody who's interested in getting radon education and outreach out there. Our grants run October 1st through September 30th each year. The application just came out last week. And there's summary of who we kind of give the money to, or the grants to. And the state indoor radon grants or surge grants, as we refer to them, range from $5,000 to $50,000, depending on what the grantee needs or asks for. Obviously, the budget has to coincide with the workload. So, and then we have, just because some areas in Colorado, I've had so many public health nurses that are like, you know what, I just like to give somebody a radon infographic and a coupon for a free test kit, or give away 100 free test kits in my community. We offer these things called straight pay grants that are only for grants less than $5,000 to the same entities that are interested, and it's a much more easy application process. It's like basically an email, what you want to do with your budget, and then you get approved, and then you just submit an invoice when you're done.
Just to note, that's what I'm not applying for.
So the straight pay grants, that they brought a lot of local areas of nonprofits on board with just enough money to help them add a nice little thing to their basket to help their communities. Without covering, without requiring too much more FTE or anything to run the program. So this is a card, and we have all these handouts for you guys, and we brought extras so we can leave them with Flip or whatever. If anybody else wants them, it's on Zoom. This is an information postcard we have on our low income radon mitigation assistance program. Go ahead. So a little bit about our low income program. We launched that in February of 2018. So far, we've mitigated almost 400 homes under that program. Mitigation costs range, $500 to $5,800. Just so you know, a typical radon mitigation in Colorado usually costs around $1,500 one way or the other. It depends a lot on the home. If you've got multiple foundation types, you've got 2 slabs in the crawl space. Obviously, it's more money than a house with just 1 slab, but the more expensive ones are just more difficult to mitigate houses, obviously. And for the homes that we fixed, we had pre-mitigation levels of 4 to 128. And we require our contractors to get any home below 4 pico periods before we'll pay for it. So all the homes come back below 4 pico periods. Just a little quick slide. We survey every homeowner who gets a radon mitigation done under the LERMA program, and the public just loves this program. I get nothing but positive feedback about it, as you can see by these charts. I wish all government programs had that kind of approval rating, so I'm pretty proud of it. But yeah, it's a great program, and the public loves it. We hire the contractors that are pre-approved to work for us to fix the houses. We oversee the entire radon mitigation from start to finish to make sure everything's the standards and codes and it's done properly. And we require the homeowner to do a post mitigation test, so we know it's below 4. And then we pay the contractor and we close out the case. And then the warranty is in the homeowner's name, so if they have problems, they can call the contractor. A lovely program. We talk about it all the time at national conferences, and a lot of states are trying to model this program as we're currently doing. So in Colorado, we do have some existing statutes and regulations. I'm almost done. I'm going to get 2 more in here. Our oldest requirement is a real estate disclosure requirement, and that was basically, if you've ever tested your house, you have to let the buyer know what the test result was. That law was actually revised in July of this year in the legislature. It is now a real estate disclosure requirement that requires realtors provide a brochure on radon to the home buyers, and that actually landlords, it's the first time you've ever had anything in relation to radon and tenants, but landlords now have to provide their tenants with a radon brochure also.
So this is like when things change, disclosures that.
Exactly. But rather than just being a little invisible checkbox on the disclosure form that a homeowner is buried in when they're buying the home, it's actually a physical pamphlet. And we brought some copies of that too, we'll give you guys. But just telling home buyers and renters about radon, why it's a risk and what to do. And we provide copies of those brochures for free to anybody who asks for them, realtors, landlords, the general public. We mail out thousands of those a year. There's another law in the books about deceptive trade practices, that if like a radon contractor falsifies a radon test in order to get a mitigation job, they can go to jail, kind of thing. And then our low income radon mitigation assistance program, which I told you about, and our new licensure requirement for radon measurement and mitigation contractors. I think this new licensure law is going to have, obviously the most positive impact on homeowners that are working with contractors, but it's a huge impact to the radon measurement requirement of licensing, because our home inspection business is kind of rogue in Colorado. They don't need to be certified or licensed or anything. A lot of home inspectors do radon measurements and we've seen them do them poorly. They don't know what they're doing and they're doing it anyways. So but in fact, now that the radon measurement contract, anyone doing radon measurement has to be certified in radon measurement and licensed. Will hopefully kind of clean up that mess where homeowners aren't being misled with bad test results.
You talked about the school and daycare testing.
Oh, did I miss that one? I'm sorry. Yeah, I did. Yeah, we have a requirement we passed. Well, the school requirement's been in place since the 90s, that all K through 12 educational facilities have to test for radon. And they're required to follow radon measurement standards. You can find all those different standards for different building types for free on the internet at standards.arts.org. But anyways, so all schools have to test. And then about, I think it's been 7 years ago, we passed the requirement that all daycare facilities have to test for radon. There's no requirement for them to mitigate. But what I found over the years is most schools and daycares, once they found out they had high radon levels, just from a public relations standpoint, they mitigate the buildings. I found very few schools and daycares says, oh, I know it's high, but I'm not going to fix it. It's just a horrible situation to be in with parents saying, why didn't you do something? So that was a huge, getting the daycares in there too to the regular school testing requirement was a huge accomplishment. Thank you for pointing that out. So right over it. So these are some of the publications and resources we have for the public. We have copies of these for you guys too. Our main thing, we used to have a big brochure about radon in general, and honestly, people don't like reading brochures anymore. They're kind of infographic generation now. Need it quick and short. So we have this nice little postcard size infographic that talks all about radon and the health risks and shows a mitigation system. With this, it's a two-sided postcard, so that one on the right, we leave space in the corner intentionally, so cities and counties can put their own logo down there if they want. Like if Dr. Brown wants to add Custer County Health Department to that infographic and use it, we can. Again, we provide those at no cost. We have another publication similar to this for doctors to talk to their patients about radon. Almost same thing, but more focused in their healthcare provider arena.
Can we put this online?
Yeah, all of these things are online, and anybody, I would recommend you just, if you're going to put it on your website, that you just link to the state health department's website. Wait, to the document on the website, so when we update the document, your website gets the update too.
I'm the PIO and I go to the state for information, so please, send this to me so I can start getting that link.
Absolutely. So we're glad to do it. You guys, again, you guys are just helping us educate the public. We're 2 people in Denver. We can't reach everybody in Colorado. There's no way. So our local health department outreach and education is very important to us. This is the real estate booklet I told you about that's required for distribution now. And then this is the coupon we give away, free radon test kits for folks who, because I talk to people all the time, especially in our low income program, that don't have internet, don't do the internet, don't want to do the internet. So we can actually mail out the low income application to folks who don't want to deal with technology. And the coupons are a great way for us to do that also, is folks just fill out the coupon and mail it in, and the company sends them the test kit.
So people who are in low income that are in a rental property.
Can't help with rental properties. When the LURMA legislation was written, it specifically applies only to single family owner occupied homes. So, and that's something that comes up at the state board of health meeting all the time, is why aren't we fixing rentals? And it's like, whoa, let's get this going first. And then when you got a whole lot more money, come back and maybe we'll try that. But it's such a huge project to try to get a home mitigated with the landlord's approval when someone else is living there. It's a whole different of stuff.
What are the income? You said low income, but what qualifies as low income?
The income levels are actually pretty high, and I can show you that on our website. Let me just finish this up real quick. I think we're almost done. Yeah, our website. Can you click on that, Margaret? So this is our radon webpage, State Health Department, coloradoradon.info. You see the first block, what is radon? That's basic radon information. And then the radon health section is all about for physicians, and it's got the real science about how you get lung cancer from radon in that second blue block. Third blue block is general information about testing and mitigating your home. That's where you have your free coupon. You can order the free test kit. That's where you get information on how to find a licensed contractor. All that stuff is under that tab. Tab 4. Oh, that's where the real estate information is. It's also where you'll find the list of cities and counties that require, we have a, actually click on that.
Well, I'm trying to switch the screen.
Well, Margaret's trying to do that, but under that real estate resources section, we've got training videos and things on radon resistant new construction for architects and builders, how to do it properly, and for code officials. Plus we have a whole section for realtors, actual training videos on how to deal with radon in a real estate transaction and that brochure. Then we have the box for the low income program. That's where all our low income mitigation system stuff is. And then the last box, the radon data box, that goes to the environmental public health tracking system website with all of our radon data where you can break it out by county and zip code, like we kind of already did for you guys in this presentation. Technology is not my friend, so I'm glad Margaret's here. Anyways, I don't know how much time you guys have for us, but we probably ate up more than we planned on already. But you're welcome to go peruse our website. Oh, if you go to the top of it, you can see the radon grant application packets up there at the top. I think Dr. Brown should also got it by email if he's interested in doing that. But yeah, just there's our website gets really good reviews. People really like it. It's mostly easy to use. There's the poster, the kid last year one, that one up right there. That's the poster that won last year. We keep it on our website for a year for kids. They love it.
I'm gonna fill it for other income people.
Yeah, and then if you go to this low income mitigation assistance link, that's where homeowners apply. And contractors apply to participate as one of our contractors. And then where it says read the instructions, some people never seem to do. You have to, if you open up the instructions for the low income program, the income table is at the end, and it's actually a lot higher than people expect. This is based on the HUD 80% low income limits. So for Custer County, you can see for a family, so like for a family of 4 in Custer County, if you make less than $69,600, you qualify for a free radon system. Even a 1-person household, less than 48,000. So a lot of people call me and they say, I don't think I'm gonna qualify. I'm like, you really ought to look at the income table, because you'd be surprised, you probably will qualify. A lot of people do that don't think they do. And that's based on your adjusted gross income from your state, your last state, or your last federal income taxes. Yeah. So it's a great program. I encourage anybody to apply for it. We have the funding. We want to fix people's houses. And last year, we actually ran out of funding in January. The funding starts July of every year. And the legislature said, no, this is way too important. They gave us a significant amount of additional funding to make sure we can fix every house that people apply for it.
Gentlemen, do you have questions?
Good presentation.
Yeah, very good presentation.
Glad you enjoyed it. And any questions? Feel free to
How many
contact me.
people have you been supplementing? How many free systems have you given?
I think it was 383.
300.
Yeah, almost 400.
No, that was great. Thank you very much
You're welcome.
for being here.
Thank you for asking us to come, and I appreciate Dr. Brown asking us to be here.
And you've been here before, I take it.
Actually, the last time I was here was I did when I 30 years ago, when I started with the health department, I did a Superfund site assessment up in Bonanza. And that's the last time I was near Westport.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the center of the universe, where the
It's
kingdom
beautiful
is
country.
too.
I love it. I'm jealous. I wish I could be away from the metro area and out here, believe
Where
me.
the kingdom lives, right?
Yeah.
And Margaret's got all the handout materials. You also have some poster size things that can be hung up in public libraries and things. But if Cliff decides to get his grant or apply for the grant, or even if he doesn't, we send these to people that don't even get radon grants just to put up in their communities.
Jen, would you want to take a brief break? or-
Open up this there.
So these are the posters of that infographic that we showed you guys. There's two sides, and you can hang it up like in town hall or, you know, at the library, whatever.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You don't have to stay, but you're welcome.
That's okay. I got a nice little VRBO down in Forbes Park that I'm going to for the week, so.
You're free.
And Margaret gets to go back to work. But thank you for allowing us to come and give you a little information.
Thank you, Kristen. And thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Well, I'm assuming you didn't carpool today.
Now, if you came from the Springs this morning and I came from Fort Garland,
So did you come through Wetmore?
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful, but they're doing all the
How long was
construction.
the wait?
Not too bad, but it made me start to sweat a little bit, that I might be late.
You might pay him, don't you?
It's, yeah. We're gonna do.
oh, I guess we should go back there. Yeah, that's worth the drive. Thanks, everybody. If we can
Thank
send
you.
you, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess that is too bright. then.
You always just leave that for
I think I'm gonna leave it.
Okay, looks like Dorothy's up. Sanitation report. Okay.
Pardon? Sanitation, are you ready to? have your-
Yeah, I think we are. If you wanna sit back where you are.
We'd have to let that cool down and shut off. I don't wanna sit in front
Yeah.
of the light.
Just move it.
Yeah, it can sit right here.
Oh,
And you don't have to, it can go like this.
Okay, so we could have left it there. I just didn't wanna
There.
have the light shining in at me. Causing lung cancer.
Light answer. All right, put this back where it goes, I guess. Check, check, check. Okay, Dorothy, you're up.
Alrighty, just give a little report. I didn't send anything out. I will hopefully have some kind of more concrete for you. I'm just gonna give you a highlight of things that I've been working on. Currently, we are working with 4 issues where the homeowners dumping waste on the ground in their RV and or chemical toilet that's not connected to something. Anyway, I'm working with Dr. Brown on one of those issues. We're gonna have to involve the sheriff's department. I'll give a further update on that the next time we meet. I am working on making some changes to the county on-site waste treatment system regulations. There's quite a few things in there that I feel like we need to take a look at and make some changes. So what I will be doing, if that's okay with you, I will make some recommendations and bring it to next month's meeting on things that I feel like need to be changed. Some of the things that I've noticed that we really need to take a look at is the authorized county technician. I can talk today. Currently, we don't do any certification for that. And the only certification that I know of that we can do is to have them take an exam through CPAL offers it. It doesn't cost a lot to join the organization, and it's a national test that they would take. You actually go up, the one that I know of is in Golden, and you actually do soil analysis on site. They take you out in the field. You have a full day's, at least one full day, if not a day and a half of classroom training. Then they take you out and you test the soil together and you do things, and then you come back and take a test. Right now, our out system basically says that they will, I guess, study underneath a current engineer And I have no tracking ever in anybody's files that we've ever followed that. So-
People that are certified, an analyst or soil analyst for the test, I mean. Who, like, it used to be called a perk test, it's not a perk test, right? It's a soil analysis.
That's a soil analysis,
Right.
yeah.
So for that soil analysis ticket to say, I did it like Kit Shy used to be one, or if he is still alive.
Right.
How do they get it? They must know, don't they?
Currently, our outs regulation says that they will work underneath an outs engineer, somebody can do engineered systems. Somebody who's authorized to do that. So, we haven't been following that. Everybody that I can tell has the NWAT or CPAL certification. So we need to basically change the verbiage, make that a little bit more clear, so that I can basically make sure that we're following the correct.
So you're gonna come up with some recommendations.
Yes, I will.
Okay,
Just to kind of, I'm just trying to highlight some of the things that I've noticed that we need to take a look at. The homeowner installation portion of that is no different than so basically, if I'm a homeowner, I can install my own septic system if I come in and take the test as a contractor.
Mhm.
There's nothing to define the difference for me as the office to say, okay, you're a homeowner, you're coming in to take the test. It's no different than if I was a contractor. So what I have is some homeowners then later on coming back and saying, hey, I took the test, I want to be on your contractors list. So I'd like to look at making some recommendations on how we can define that a little bit different, so that it's a little bit more challenging to become an installer, a contractor that installs, rather than someone who's just doing it one time to be as a homeowner for themselves. There's just really nothing that differentiates the two. The license system cleaners or a pumper, we have nothing on file for that, and according to our regulations, we should be testing them ahead of time. I've not been able to find a single way for us to validate their knowledge in that. I have worked together a simple 15-question test that I'll bring to the next meeting for you guys to take a look at. I think it's important that one of the other things we're not doing is validating where the waste is being dumped. So I've had reports that we have pumpers coming up here and dumping in the middle of land out in the middle of nowhere. I have not been able to validate that, but it's coming one contractor from another. So I don't know how much validity is in that, but I think that in our regulations, I think we need to follow that and have them periodically prove where they're dumping and make sure that it's a state certified dump site. Right now, the only dump sites that I know of, we have one in Pueblo. There's one in Fremont County, and then I believe there's one in Rye, but that's just one individual. So as a pumper, you can go buy your own land and get that certified through the state, so that individual can dump on their own land, and they monitor that. But I want to make sure that where our waste is being dumped is in a certified location. Another thing, and I know I brought this up before in the past, but I'm probably going to keep bringing it up. We currently do not have any place for our pumpers to dump their waste in our county. And I know it sounds disgusting, but we have a lot of water that's leaving our county, and if we had a way to keep that water in our county eventually, so if we set up something for our pumpers to dump, it would keep the water in our county. And I did a little bit of calculations, and I'll bring it for you so that it's a little bit more defined. But on it, for an example, and this is just my calculating, on average, we have at least 20 1,000-gallon tanks being pumped in our county a week. Sounds like a lot. So I figured there's 600 gallons of water, and I think that's a low number. For each 1,000-gallon tank that's leaving our county. I did a little bit of calculating, so that's 52 weeks in a year, so we have 624,000 gallons of water annually leaving our county. That 624 gallons of water, once it gets cleaned through going through the aquifer, could equate to providing water up to 5 families of 4. So 20 individuals a year. That's a lot of water, and that's low estimates. I mean, I'm doing my best calculations based on what I get, the information I'm getting from the pumpers and how often they're pumping. But I know there's a lot more than 20 tanks being pumped in a week. There was just 2 pumpers that I was able to get data from, and that I went with a low number on 1,000-gallon tank. There's a lot of 1,500-gallon tanks out there that are being pumped and the water's going through different things. So if we could find a way to keep that water in our county the same, water's a very valuable resource.
Okay.
I just think that's something we need to consider. And that's all I have today. Any questions?
Good. Nope, thanks. All right, Cliff.
Okay, let's go on. Contagious disease report is what I had on my calendar here, and that's what is showing over here. Also, I think you guys should have the epidemiological curves and charts ending on the 28th of July. It looks like this.
I don't have that.
We did receive them, yes.
Is it in there?
Should be
Computer?
there someplace. Pretty sure Dorothy put it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, we have, and I just spoke with, for a recent update yesterday afternoon at 1 o'clock. I have my epidemiological consults with our region, and his comment is we have no outbreaks, we have no nothing substantial at all. If you look on that very first page, you'll see a spike over on the right hand side, and the second graph down, little green print.
Thanks, Dorothy.
These are percentages, and when you don't have anybody reporting their testing, but you have one person who reports that he had a positive test, all of a sudden you have 100%. So one report to one report, which is why we don't do these things, and which is why we withdrew from the state and reporting it like that. But basically, we have no hospitalizations, we have no serious illnesses, we have no deaths. We haven't had a death since January of this year.
And
So
this is for COVID.
this is for COVID, and we have almost no RSV infections either. So we're doing, and we have very, very few flus, influenza reports. So our county people, I'm very proud of them. Said this before, but they're doing what they need to do. They just don't go around other people when they get sick, you know? And so they're not spreading it. And so even though we do have a slight uptick, there's nothing here of statistical significance at all. Questions, gentlemen?
Nope.
Okay. Then hearing none, you can go back on the, I think it's a 4th page, where it gives you on the left-hand column, you have dates in each month, 22 up through 23. And you'll notice that deaths due to COVID-19, nothing's happened since January. And we're still at 29 as of Monday. So we're not piling up people who are ill. Okay, next. Okay, for radon, one of the reasons that I brought this up to you is that this is very, very expensive. But it falls into the category of highly significant. There's a high risk. And to me, that is one of the biggest risks that the residents in our county have health-wise. So yes, we're always going to have people who want to smoke, but that's not the problem here. We do have people who smoke, but everybody needs to be checking, as far as I'm concerned, the radon, and that's why I'm putting in a grant request application, excuse me. Okay, next item on the agenda. Our credit card apparently was hacked and compromised, and so we literally just got our new credit card, so we can go ahead and continue on and making a purchase for our mobile clinic. We have numerous purchases we've already made. We're literally figuring out ways to install everything so that we can drive down the road with it, not have any of the instruments or the cabinets or whatever shake loose. And we can put it into place. Let's see, the next Custer County Public Health Improvement Plan. It should be on your computers. It should look like this. Do you guys have that or no? If you don't.
I'm looking through some of this stuff that you sent prior. Do you know when that was sent?
Yeah, well, when did you send this stuff?
I sent it to Dorothy here last week, but I sent it. It has been out for at least a month, in July 2023.
Yeah.
And I know I had put it in a packet, Board of Health packet, or I emailed it to you, one or the other. Whenever, prior to it being
That's
finished.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
Because we're almost finished with it. If you would like, I can, if it's not been sent to you for whatever reason, I can get it sent to you. But it is our completed plan. I have literally passed it through CDPHE through the state, and they have given it their blessing. They said this is complete. It answers all the questions that we have answered or asked, excuse me. And this meets the criterion for success.
And what is that called again?
It is the Custer County Public Health Improvement Plan. It has not been updated for 6 years.
The Colorado Custer County.
Public Health Improvement Plan. This is a state requirement. We got it done.
You showed us the kind of hard.
Yes, I showed you
last week.
the majority of it.
And this is similar to like an emergency operating plan.
No, this covers more in just health rather than what we do for.
We're running for
contingency.
Custer.
Right, it gives you,
June the 9th.
yeah, what we have for food services, what we have for challenges for meeting our residents' needs in health. So everything from the library on. Did you guys, if you didn't receive it, you had.
We've got it.
Okay,
Got it.
thank you. Is there a possibility that I could get the letter of promulgation signed by you?
I thought we
did that.
we did that.
That was for the emergency.
Well,
Oh, well,
Different plan.
Yeah, this is a
that's just a sign
different.
off. Whose signature do you need?
All three
for all
of the
three
members.
Good.
Yes, sir.
All right, good.
Does that need to be in the-
signature page would need to be changed, because, Bill Kanda is the chair, not myself, as the Board of Health.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, you gotta fix them.
I will do that. Get that done.
Is that something that needs to have a motion?
I don't think so. We got it finished. We can
I
certainly,
wasn't sure if it was
we can
like,
certainly do that.
if it was like you and the commissioners when you sign a promulgation or a resolution.
I move that we sign off on the public health home, what is it called?
Health improvement, public health improvement plan,
Plan.
2023.
And I guess a quick question from me. What types of changes were made from the prior?
All that we did was finish up the page of quotations, the annotations where we have looked at other documents so that you have a basis for it. It's not just.
It's the evidence.
Yeah.
References.
Yes, all the references for all of the different studies that we looked at. Sources of information, if that helps.
I would second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept to approve the public health improvement plan. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
As presented. All in favor, say aye. Don?
Well, it asks for a resolution number, and we don't have.
Oh, wait a minute,
resolutions.
it's that wasn't a resolution, was it?
Well, it does have that on there.
But that's,
so-
was that part of the
That was
format,
the
or was that,
emergency.
that was
And
for
that
the
was
other
part
one?
of the format that we were given
For the other one or for this one?
for the other one.
That's right, so what do you need for this one? Is it a resolution?
Yeah, we do not have to have a resolution, to the best of my knowledge. Let me
Right, I
check
don't think
before
so.
I answer.
It's our plan.
Exactly.
So that line would need to be taken.
Yeah,
out.
change,
Yeah, I
change
think we
get that
take
off.
that line off and change the
I'll get
chairman.
that changed.
So it
I'll
would be-
resend it.
As it's amended.
Okay.
There are a couple of other
Wait a second,
forms.
let's
I'm sorry.
We haven't finished that one.
finish
yet.
voting on this one.
Well, and I have a question. Does this need to be approved by the BOCC or by the Board of?
Board of Health.
Vote aye.
Aye.
I hear.
Thank you for correcting those two things.
Okay,
Okay, now, a couple of other things. We want to be able to take care of the people who present themselves to us, but particularly the children. And so we have developed a health insurance attestation form to be signed by the parents when they bring their children in for vaccines. Currently, we have nothing and we've not ever had anything like that. So sometimes,
say it again. You want people to attest that they have health insurance for their kids.
yes,
Is that what you
if they
said?
say that they have insurance, or if they say they do not have insurance, we handle them differently.
Okay,
Okay, but we have to be able to pay for it.
right.
So
So you're wanting to make sure you're asking if they have insurance to prove it to them.
to demonstrate, but if they don't have insurance, that's the bigger thing. When they say, we don't have any insurance, we need to have something in writing, something in our records. Go ahead, Sarah.
So what this refers to is our Vaccine for Children's program that's run by Colorado state government. And so there's eligibility criteria that we have to present every time a patient comes in requesting BFC vaccine. Because it is paid for by the government funds.
Right.
So it's free to the people, but it's not free, if that makes sense. So in order for somebody to qualify, they have to be underinsured, no insurance, Medicaid, or of Native Alaskan descent. Tribal. So in order for us, so anybody could walk up and say, I don't have any insurance, and we just have to take them at their word for it.
Okay, so how do they prove that they don't?
Exactly.
Well, they can't.
Yeah,
They
they
just
don't.
say, I don't have it. They're
Exactly.
gonna say, show me,
So this is just our way of like, okay, well, you said you don't have insurance, so here's our proof, so again,
so they're gonna say, they're gonna walk in, I don't have insurance, you're gonna say, I certify and he doesn't have it, because he said he did. That's all this is.
We
That's-
have a coverage, that's all. It doesn't obligate anybody else to do anything.
Yes.
It just gives us some kind of coverage when we give it out under the BSC program.
Okay, so it's just them swearing, basically.
That's right, essentially.
releases us from. Really,
Okay, they just said they didn't, it's not you guys
Right.
screwing them. Okay,
That's right. The other one is that we want to be able to provide when needed. And this does happen in our valley. Transportation for people to get to doctor's appointments or to come down for a vaccination or to go to an educational seminar. And even though nobody has really been challenged on this, what if there was an auto accident? What if somebody was injured? All the other options, we would like to have some release. So we are not transporting them as they say, well, this is a commercial transportation and you injured me, so you're obligated medically. I don't want to put the county under those circumstances. So I want to pass all this under Dan's supervision.
I was gonna say, did you talk to Dan then?
Yeah, but he is on vacation, or at least he
He's
was.
back now.
Okay, so I want to bounce this off, but I want you guys to know that we are working on that to try to keep the county from
Liability.
getting stuck. So this is just information.
What does Rotary have?
And I talked to them about that, and they really don't. So they
Must
have
have
been,
something.
yeah,
Well, no, mostly it's covered under your insurance policy as an owner of a vehicle,
right,
medical care, et cetera.
right. But this is the county.
I know, but we have the same rules. We have to. So you need to ask them.
I think so. Anyway, I just want your direction. Thank you. Okay. If you'll notice, the next item on the agenda, the vaccine report. We're obviously not doing a lot of COVID. We are still doing COVID vaccinations. Sarah, if you could speak to that.
So we've seen a pretty good uptake. We get a lot of passers through. So our tourists come and see us quite a bit while they're, vacationing here, visiting here, snowboarding, all that fun stuff. So we've seen a really positive response. There is some changes coming down through CDPHE and the manufacturers of the vaccination. So we are doing a COVID bivalent, which is a 2-dose shot. So you get one now and one in 4 months, especially if you're at risk. And now we're switching to back to a monovalent. So it's going to be a 1 dose that will last you for 6 months for the at-risk populations. We are still not vaccinating children with COVID in the county. We just do not see a need with our population here. So there's no change in that. We're going to just continue to proceed with just adult vaccinations for COVID.
So how do the adults know they're at risk? How do they get the info?
They're 65 or older.
So that's public information somehow to the world in Custer County.
And they can always call us and ask questions. We have very wonderful personnel that is very well informed at all times too. We also still give out COVID test kits and masks, which has been really positive. We've seen a couple, especially with the rodeo in town. We had a big uptick in requests for testing and masks. So that was really nice.
You need public health announcement of some kind, Jennifer, to say, hey, we're still in business if you need it, kind of thing.
People seem to know that, but we can.
Okay, if you're seeing that everybody's taking use of it, that's good.
I've been doing a lot of postings and for different things about whether it's COVID, heat,
Okay, yeah,
Dr. Brown has
Okay,
been
good.
sending me stuff and it's been getting out there.
all right.
One of the big things across Colorado, across the United States. Heat, prostration, and so on, that's potentially been really good. And people don't quite often clue in that they're in trouble. So that's why we've tried to be a little more proactive in getting those published.
And we've been doing a wide variety of different publications about heat, not only the difference between heat stroke, but also to be aware to keep your fluids, to find shade, sunscreen, animal safety. So I've been hitting it pretty hard with that along with other topics.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay,
Okay. We are continuing in we have several trainings, it seems, for different people in different situations every month. So just to not give you a whole list, which would bore you to tears, but just to let you know, we continue with all those things. Now, relative to our MCO program. We are very glad to have Sarah online with us. She comes from the school, as you know, and so she has lots of contacts with lots of families throughout this valley, the county. And so I asked her to come along, not only to introduce her to you, but to let you know some of the things that we've been working on. You know, they don't get published. You know, I mean, there's no really good way to announce these things, but we want you guys to know so that if you get asked, you can answer. And to let you know that we are working with not only CCKC in the library, but different projects and different trainings, different certifications that we are trying to improve the pediatric and maternal care throughout the valley. Sarah, please.
Awesome. Very nice to meet with you guys. So a little bit about myself. Maternal child health is my specialty. Actually, I've been a maternal child health nurse for 8 years. I used to work postpartum as a charge nurse back in Aurora for many years. And so it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm glad to continue those skills and bring some knowledge to the table as well. My cohort, Deb Carl, could not be here today. So she is our maternal child health nurse officially at Public Health. And then I just have a passion. So I'm helping hands wherever she needs. We're really trying to revitalize the whole maternal child health program at Public Health. So Deb is going for her certified lactation consultant certification. She's through the course, she just has to take the actual test to get certified. And then after she finishes, I will follow suit. I assisted in breastfeeding most of my career, so it's just going to be nice to have the official certification behind the name. We're also focusing a lot on maternal mental health. So postpartum depression is a huge issue that spans across many different socioeconomical backgrounds. So we just want to make sure that we're servicing here in Westcliff and Custer County to make sure that we're providing services and resources to our fresh moms. We also are looking into an infant assessment or pediatric assessment across the board. So where we could go into the homes if a family would need, just to check in, because it is so far to, the clinic sometimes, or even down to, most of our families go to either Pueblo or to Salida, which you're looking at a good 45-minute drive. And if we can take some of that weight off of a new mom or new parents that are extremely exhausted, to have a nurse right there to, do basic assessment skills, weights, developmental screenings, such as the ASEs and ASQs. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but I brought an example. I used to work for Nurse Family Partnership before I came to the school, and they have a whole program, and it's based for low income moms, but we are gauging, because we have such a small community, that we offer it to any and all moms.
So this is like a health checkup you'd normally get if you had a private doctor doing it.
Similar to that, we go.
You're in the 90th percentile for weight.
Exactly. And so what these do, these go along the developmental milestones. They start at 2 months and they go all the way up till preschool. So, hey, is your kiddo, watching you as you speak? Can your kiddo hold a block in one hand? Really looking at those fundamental milestones. And if we can catch things early enough for families that maybe their kiddo is not quite meeting, to where they need to be, we can intervene early and hopefully catch that kiddo up, or recognize that the kiddo is really struggling and get them help and services, and connect them where they need to be. Attached is a newsletter. So how the program works is you go in and you complete the assessment, kiddos here, we're struggling with these skills. We give the parents the skills to practice at home, and which increases parental bonding as well. So it's a really, really neat program. So we're looking into that for our infant assessment.
What's the R stand for? MCR, right?
I call it MCH, maternal child.
I know, that's why I was confused. Is that a misspelling or is it
I don't think so.
it's a maternal child
Resource or something.
resource, right, or something?
Sorry. Thank you.
As Dr. Brown was talking about, we are also collaborating with our community partners to enhance our services for our population. So our next event is going to be going into the preschool, helping families screen for vaccinations and making appointments at their preschool orientation on the 15th. So, you know, hey, kiddos, looking like they're missing this, we can schedule an appointment right there. Myself and Deb are going to attend. We're also going to promote our dental cavity free by 3 program, which I'll talk about in just a little bit, as well as other resources such as WIC that we can help parents navigate through. So really just bringing it all together in one convenient location. We're also completing promotional services at the health fair. So we attend, all of our programs that we offer at Public Health are well advertised and broadcasted. We're also participating, we just participated in the CCKC Family Fun Day, which was a big hit. Dr. Brown brought his puppies, which were a great incentive to bring in families for socio-emotional well-being, because you know, who doesn't love a puppy? And we got to present about our free radon test kits, the services that we offer, and we actually distributed 4 car seats that day, which was fantastic. So that's a really big promotion that we're really trying to get out to our community. We're having Kristen, she's one of our new administrators. She is going to go become a car seat certified technician, so that if a family, you know, hey, I have this car seat, they can get it officially put into their vehicle according to the best standards that are out there. We've also collaborated with EMS to have one of their people get certified as well. So we have multiple options in the county.
So the kids actually get fit to the specific seat. Okay, so that you know that it fits them well enough to protect them. Just because they have a car seat doesn't mean the child fits.
Or that it gets installed properly in the vehicle. So that is an exciting thing that's happening. We've started to look into, actually, we met with Veronica from CDPHE about our what's called HCP. It's a healthcare program for children with special needs. This particular program hasn't been around or hasn't been revitalized for about 15 years. So it's really exciting that we are revisiting this and going to get this back up and running, because we do have a lot of kiddos that have high needs. And being a school nurse, I've gotten to know them very well and find the pitfalls where, you know, we could really help families out and get them the resources, since we're so small.
And this has been a whole kind of in the provision for our valley. We've literally had people leave the valley because they couldn't get care for the kids.
Yeah.
So we're trying to close those holes, those gaps in provision.
Yeah, so we're going to be reaching out to the school very soon, to their special education directors. Actually know Heather Rutherford very well, and have mentioned, you know, that we are opening up to this grant opportunity, and she's been welcomed with open arms. It's been very wonderful. So really hope we can start helping these families out. We've also improved our collaboration with WIC. They have been coming to the office once a month, so it's the second Wednesday of every month. They will start in-person evaluations October-ish is what they're predicting. So that would be really, really wonderful to get back into the swing of things and really get that one-on-one consultation with the WIC curator, whose name is Jessica.
Well, and I just saw something where the income levels for WIC have actually gone up,
Yes.
which will allow more people. That's something that I've pushed out as well. So exactly.
Very, very fun things. We're also going to be participating in a grant-funded program to enhance services for infants and toddlers. So Deb and I are going down to Pueblo for the regional convening. We just got a $5,000 grant for this, which is wonderful. And we have collaborated with DHS, the library, CCKC, and I believe WIC as well, and Carolina, the director of the Child Care Center. So we can start to build our early child care network and make it a really good foundation so that we can get a nice streamlining process for services for our families.
Again, if I may, we are trying to capture the moms when they're first getting pregnant, preparing them nutritionally, so that they set up their child then for success. We've talked about this multiple times. But right through age 3, when this preschool, kind of training program that the county already has established takes over. So we want to have before, just right at the start of pregnancy, all the way through age 3 that we cover, so there is no hole there either. So this is a big gap. There's been presence in our county for quite a while.
Now, Rolene's quitting there shortly, correct? I believe for daycare.
Oh, yes, she's retiring. I have heard that. And the daycare center at the school is pretty near full from the last time that I heard. So it's getting bigger, and we want to make sure that we, are easily reached. Families feel comfortable to come to us to help facilitate resources. So big goal. We are also promoting our Reach Out and Read program. So we've had this, I believe it for at least 3 years at Public Health. So it's a grant that every time a family comes in to visit for a vaccination, we promote that they read together to help develop good bonding skills, cognitive and language skills for the children. It is a really cool program. They emphasize it from birth all the way up until preschool and beyond. So it's one of those things that we're trying to tell the public about, so that, it's another incentive to, hey, come see us at Public Health. We've got some really cool things, and they're very nice books, hardback books that are geared toward their specific age.
If you recall, everything that we get hit with as far as information, we literally store. It is stored in the brain. So it doesn't just kind of go away just because you don't necessarily remember it right off the top of your head. It does affect how you interpret data as you get exposed to it.
Yes. And then our next very exciting, another grant that we run is the Cavity Free at 3. So this teaches families. We have a dental hygienist. Her name is Jennifer Foster. She's fantastic. I worked with her last year when she came and did cleanings at the school. And so now she's extended her program immensely. So she covers all sorts of ages, all pediatrics. She comes up here on a set date, and she'll do as many appointments as she can squeeze in, which is fantastic. So this one's really focused on why dental care is important so early on to prevent major dental issues, because we also run a dental health grant as well. So this is kind of our preemptive education to make sure that families start off really well. That's such
For my own bias, we're also including vision in our screenings and
Yes, we just got that vision grant, which we're going to be implementing here as soon as the new nurse starts. I'm going to go reach out and try to develop a screening process for those, because we screened the entire school last year with Dr. Brown's help, and Public Health came in. It was wonderful. And so I already kind of know the kiddos who are struggling, and if they have had no follow-up in a year, that's going to be kind of one of our flags to, hey, they may need some assistance with services. What can we do to help? And that's where that grant money comes in. So that's another exciting thing. We are also, continuing with our vaccines for children. We've had this program for many years. But, again, trying to go out and reach out to the school and, promote, education, convenience of appointments, all that good stuff, just to make sure that we give our families the resources and education that they need to make these
So you
decisions.
set it up to have them meet in the school itself or over here?
Meet at the school. So it's like a one-stop shop. So we'll be there at orientation as kind of like a little station with all our information. So we'll bring some Reach Out and Read stuff. We'll have the dental flyer. We have, just so that we can educate while they're already kind of going through stuff and thinking about it. Who we are and what we do. And then we're really going to try to do some more community outreach as well. I am a part of CCKC, and I'm hoping we are working with the library to do maybe monthly educational sessions for our families, varying on different topics, exercise, radon test kits would be a really good one too, just to make sure, we can connect with as many people as possible, and reaching out to our homeschooled and our Amish population as well. So
We'd like to park our mobile clinic down in front because we have a 55-inch screen that we can be giving educational videos on a reel or this kind of thing. For anybody coming down, we have a big chart or cover that rolls out and extends so people can be in the shade if it's a hot day or whatever. But so they can see, so they can stand there and have visual. Nice presentations that vary widely for their education.
That makes sense. So did you ever figure out what the R stands for?
Yeah. I don't.
It
know.
doesn't matter.
You know, I will find it out for you, but I don't want to give you information that I'm not positive of, so if you'll bear with me, I will email that out.
This is really good stuff. Thanks for bringing it in.
Thank you for letting me present. It's very nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm glad that we haven't had that interaction with the school like that yet. And so this is good. I mean, I know we've been sponsoring it. I know we've been sharing time with them, but this is good to see.
If you notice, so the MCH, it's a page that looks like this with the colors on it. Okay, it's the $4,516 that we are getting from that particular source. So there's nothing big, the little pieces. We're trying to put together to be able to gain enough funding to build support program.
5,215 cents, right?
Yeah, there's another one down here at the very bottom. It says Custer County under MCH with the colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 5,000 or 4,560.
Okay.
Question.
No, we can't, not $5,000 grants, that's huge.
Yeah, that's very good.
We're not turning them down. For sure. And the radon grant, it takes almost nothing. I mean, it's amazing, but for information for our county people who really do need it. I don't think there are a whole bunch of people here. I mean, everybody knows or has probably heard of radon. I don't think a lot of our residents, they say, doesn't bother me none. Well, they don't know until after the fact, and then it's too late.
I was actually happy to see the radon rolls downhill, and now I know why the kingdom's got more than we do.
Oh. See,
And that's the day that proved
Yeah,
it.
yeah. What else rolls down here like that?
We're safe up here.
Yeah.
We can handle it now.
Collection point.
You got anything else for us?
Pretty sure there's no lasting effect.
No, yeah, click.
With the center on it, yeah. Any questions? I have nothing else.
Tom, anything?
No, I'm good.
Ken? When are we gonna meet next?
Month running.
1 month
Yeah,
in the
that's-
10 o'clock again? Is that what we're gonna
Labor
do?
Day, isn't it? Or
What's that?
someplace the 4th, I think, is Labor Day. Is that right?
So we have today is the first,
Yeah.
so the first Tuesday is the day after Labor Day.
Is that
Yeah.
what you want to
Yeah.
do?
Air commission meeting.
We have a commissioner meeting. It's in the afternoon though, and it's 1. So let's do it at 10 again.
Again, at 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there's not enough to talk about it, let us know.
What was your date on that?
Second, or the second Tuesday, which was
That would be this.
Yeah.
5th.
September
Yeah.
5th
Tuesday at 10.
at
And
10
again, 10 hours.
in the Custer County Admin Building.
Put an invitation out.
Is that where things are gonna be from now on? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the reason we're meeting at 1 is 'cause that's when our lawyer can be here, our attorney can be here on it, because I'll have to also go to Silver Cliff. So we reversed it.
I see. Okay, good
So,
spirits.
and it'll be here, Cliff, in this room.
In this. Okay. Did any of you want further information on radon? Do you want anything else?
What I would like to know, how's your air quality machine coming along? Did we get it ordered yet?
We do not, we still have the one that's over here on the SARS that is actually functional, but it's not the quality of instrument that I want
I
to
know,
have.
so-
They have not come back. Their engineering team's not yet developed anything that will also, or in addition to particulate matter.
So you don't have anything out on Trails End or at?
No.
You're still planning to do that?
I'm still planning to do that as soon as I can get something that's worth spending money on. You know, we can always use this little thing here, but that's still.
Meanwhile, you're just taking it off the ones that are down.
That's right.
Hayden Pass.
Yeah.
Over here.
It's like trying to fill in government forms with a fat tipped felt tip marker, you know, it's just, this is why.
Anybody else have anything else?
Good.
All right. I'll adjourn this meeting at 12, was it 12:02?
12:02.
The end.
Thank you, and I'll get that page taken care of for you. Or do you wanted, can you take care of that?
Yeah, I'll take care of it. I'll just type it up and send it
I don't know
over.
how you ended up taking the commissioner.
I didn't. This is the new, anyway, so we're done. Let me shut this down.
I can call it Jordan, he'll do it.
Yeah, I thought that was Tom's candy, but Tom Candy.
Sarah, will you email me your, just a brief, you look like you had some typed up a brief outline,
Sure.
just so I can put
All
it
right,
into
thanks.
the minutes and I don't.
You catch anybody watching?
You're gonna-
Because I Deb typed it up for me and I have it, so because she couldn't be here, so I'll try to see. if I can
Yeah, and
upload
it's
it.
not anything that I need, I
So we're in
mean,
here at
it's
one, huh?
just,
Easy.
it's a lot easier if I can do, it, even if it's just bullet points, because.
55 minutes.
We don't have to.
I'll use it wisely.
do much.
Nope, sounds good. I
Kind of
think-
ran us long on this first meeting.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to make